Testing, testing, testing. JB here. Let's see if I'm going. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. October 8th, 2021. Just going to be really quick. Apologize for yesterday. I had something I had to take care of. I was in and out. Of course, what happens, Peloton goes nuts. And missed the 89, what did it hit, 89? Just a little bit under 89.50. So I held some of those calls in today. Take a look at Peloton. I think it's going to go into the mid-90s next week. But first, I'll start with the JYNT. Also ironic is, and I think I put it when I did my top 5 stock for the back half of 2021 webinar, that these names that are up so much, and SE Global was one that I had last year where it was up a lot already. Maybe it was up 500%. I think it was $10 stock, went all the way up to 30 or 40 bucks. And some of my concern was that there'll be some kind of short paper, some short, Citron Research. Well, I mean, he doesn't do shorts anymore. I'm sure he will at some point. Carson Black, all these muddy waters. One of these firms will come out with some kind of Spruce Point Capital. They'll come out with some kind of short piece because it is a lot easier to shake people out of a stock that's up 2,000, 3,000% over a couple of years than to get someone out of a stock that's up, 10% a year. So you take a look at the JYNT, it's up, from single digits all the way up went up to 111. And it's a high multiple name, right? It trades at crazy revenues, but that's because it's a franchise model. Similarly, you take a look at Domino's Pizza. It's very hard to value a franchise model and make a apples to apple comparison to some of these other stocks. So of course, when he comes out with these allegations or accusations or speculation, there's some shady practices going on with financing some of the chains. They're buying back struggling franchises so that they can mask the struggles of the business. I'm like, here's a company that is growing locations at a mind-boggling clip, and you're telling me they're struggling? Like, it doesn't make sense. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I don't pretend to be wrong. To me, it just looks like it took an opportunity. So a stock that trades at a crazy multiple, and then you do the FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, what they've been doing to Tesla since day one. And it's a lot easier to get people to sell than to buy. So especially when you do fear mongering. I didn't read the piece. I'm not going to subscribe to a bear piece where I don't agree with it. It's just going to be garbage in my opinion. So I don't want to add credibility or give credence to that publication. And again, maybe I'm naive or maybe I'm wrong with the JYNT, but I still think, take a look at it. Like how can they be opening all these locations and the pace of openings are increasing if the business is struggling? What other piece? He talked about, I guess the person in charge of opening the franchise chairman, I don't know what the exact title is, filed for personal bankruptcy 4 years prior. He brought up some issues, I guess, some of the things I read from like 2016. So I will have to see how it all plays out, but it just doesn't jive to me, right? If this is not a tech company, this is not a company that does billings, right? So you have some of these tech companies that are high growth names, and they come and they put billings in the previous quarter, they pull them forward to make earnings look rosy when they need it. It's not a situation here, and not only that, it's like the JYNT doesn't have insurance. It's not like they're going and they're playing games with doing insurance fraud, like doing more claims than normal or shenanigans like that. And then they also said something about complaints about billing, numerous complaints. I mean, the company must do thousands upon thousands transactions every day. So you're telling me they're the only company that deserves to, it doesn't warrant to have complaints around a charge? That's just crazy stuff. So we'll see how this all plays out. I'm not going to sit here and add calls here in the morning. You do have analysts this morning coming out defending the stock. You have Lake Street says there's fundamental flaws in the short piece. Says fundamental flaws, nothing new. He saw in a short report changed his view based on experience of the company. He believes the underlying concept to create a national network of small box retail clinics focused on pain management that is quick, affordable, and drug-free remains strong and viable, right? It's exactly in a nutshell. So I don't get that. So unfortunately, it did pressure the stock, and maybe it's an opportunity at some point So I will possibly look for some calls into November or December, probably on Monday after I do a little more deep dive into that kind of that bear piece. So that's the joint. Talk quick about Peloton, but I always it's another name that's so easy for folks to look at and say and dismiss it. Say, wow, this is a garbage company. It's a fad. There's no moat around the business. It's just a bike. I think their announcement of their personal private label clothing line, I think that bodes well. I'm sure that's not something that's been baked into the numbers by analysts. Who knows if it's going to add too much in the current quarter, but I think going forward, I think that's a boon. Peloton, if someone's pretty diligent in using it on a daily basis, they're very wrapped around the brand, and I think that's what Peloton is trying to use the brand, similar to what Apple does and Tesla. Take a look at a company like Under Armour. But back when Under Armour was kind of still in its small stages of growth, it was a great brand, and it traded at high multiples because people were willing to pay $40 for a shirt that cost 27 cents to make. I'm not saying that's Peloton's going to be a fashion brand, but I do think it adds incremental revenues and profits, and it's a high margin category, so I think that just bodes well. And I hate to use the analogies, but it's Peloton the Netflix of fitness, right? As people go virtual, work from home. I was trying to do some digging because if anybody uses a gym or what have you, and I've talked about it before. I do Orange Theory Fitness, and I've noticed even after COVID kind of came back and you didn't have to wear the mask anymore. I'm still finding it very easy to book classes, and there used to be wait lists. They would do different things. So I don't know if they're just moving away from my company, or it just shows that there's staying power and people created gyms in their homes, which again bodes well for Peloton. I wouldn't say last but not least, Boston Beer. I was looking at the calls on Wednesday, and the 600s were like $1. And then it bounced on Wednesday a little bit, and then yesterday all the way up to almost 560. At some point that gets back into the 600. I'm not saying it's going to go back up to $800, and the reversal from their, the hard seltzer situation that's playing out in some of these names is back to normal. But I do think there's an opportunity on Boston Beer. So maybe some 610s. Yeah. So the rumor was I think it was January, they were going to announce a rower. So at some point it's going to come out. They have the treadmill. Yeah. I post somewhere, and everybody always brings up the Peloton that kills babies with their treadmill. Like sad stuff, right? I mean, accidents happen. If I had the Peloton treadmill, I'd sure as heck, and I had a 1-year-old, I'd sure as heck make sure it's not in any area that the kid would be able to have access to, right? So I don't know that that's Peloton's fault, but I guess when you're making a product and you have consumers, you got to make it idiot-proof for consumers, right? Idiot-proof for safety and use. So it's sad. I hate to say it like that. You don't like to blame anything on the parent, or things happen, and if maybe you're not in a situation to watch the kid and they somehow crawl over something to get in there. So I can get it. You need to make a product that's not open to some serious tragedy. But yeah, I mean, you could say for all these other products, like a stove, right? You're going to sue the stove company if a pot of boiling water falls off the stove and lands on your kid. I mean, those things happen. Anyway, they happen if you don't keep your kid away from the stove when it's on. All right, so that's Peloton, that's Sam. TripAdvisor, another egg yesterday. After Merck's announcement last Friday, stock went bonkers. I think Nihar's talking about the Friday run on TripAdvisor. So maybe today is the day. Their earnings should be in the first or second week of November. So maybe I'll look to get some calls to encompass that. I think it gets into the 40s, and if not higher, in the coming months. iRobot, right? There was a patent ruling for Shark Ninja. The stock spiked in the morning all the way up to 83, 89 yesterday before kind of just flatlining for the rest of the day. Eventually, that one's going to squeeze into the 90s. So, of course, I'm speaking to the choir here around iRobot. It's been name I'm in and out since the start of the year. So I would hope at some point this thing really starts to take off. Anyway, we've got 5 minutes to the open. I'll try and get back on audio later. Twilio team MDB, those are names, especially if the tech space shows weakness. Surprisingly enough, the yields were going up yesterday despite the market strength. And then some of these tech names, you would think MDB would be up 3, 4, 5% on the rally. Same with Twilio, same with Team, and they didn't really do that. So maybe watching those. There was also a positive analyst note on Team yesterday or this morning about a price increase. It's up here at 400 in the pre-market, so maybe that kind of came out of left field. So I don't know if I'll get puts on Team. It might be a possible lotto call play up into the 410s. That's it, folks. I'll try and get back on. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.